Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast Under Your Bed. I'm your host, CJ. Across from me is your hostess, Taylor. What up, girl? And today we got a throwback, campy, fun summer vibes for you with Sleepaway Camp 1983. I'm going to call it, I'm just saying it up front, my most favorite bad movie I've ever seen. Done.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm so glad I could convert somebody to the side of Sleepaway Camp, whether it be for positive, negative, or mixed feelings, because this movie elicits a mesh of vibes.
It's got so much going on. We're gonna get there.
It's a lot.
If you don't know anything about it, it's about it's a summer sleepaway camp that turns deadly when an unknown killer begins picking off counselors and campers alike. A little bit of like who's the killer,
who done it.
Yeah, not very well done maybe, but
well, yeah, we're really gonna have to dig into that part with the spoiler free or the spoiler section. So guys, this is a film that, I mean, I think we always say like watch the movie, but I can't stress enough, like, you really want to watch this before listening to this. Mm-hmm. One, to understand how unhinged it is, but also to really get in the nitty gritty bits, because otherwise it is confusing to watch. So it's going to certainly be more confusing to just listen to if you don't know the movie.
Right. And this is like an 80s B horror film. So I didn't know any cast or crew, but some people did go on to have careers. Walk us through some of this.
I mean, honestly, I think the biggest one, and for like horror hounds, you'll be familiar with some of the cast. Mm. I mean, most of them are only known from this movie specifically, but Felicia Rose is our big, she's the big scream queen out of this. She plays Angela, and more recently, she did the Victor Crowley movie, which is like the third or fourth Hatchet film. She did Terrifier 2. She's done a ton of stuff. She does a ton related to horror, so we love and respect her very much.
Yeah, it's
all
really
horror.
Great.
She's a horror girl through and through. We love that.
Yeah.
But like, in full honesty, not a lot of people did a ton after this. The guy who played Paul Christopher Collette, if I'm not mispronouncing, does a ton of voice acting stuff, like shit we would have watched as kids, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like that. So he went on to have more of a voice acting career, but honestly, everyone else in this movie is really known from this movie, aside from, oh my God, Darth Vader's voice, James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones'
good save.
dad is in this movie for like a minute, and that's kind of it in terms of people you might recognize.
Right. Yeah, and it's the same with the crew. This is directed and written by Robert Hiltzik. I'll say that's how you say it,
Sure.
And honestly, I could glaze over the rest, but, effects. Some shout outs to effects, makeup by Ed French. And he did go on to do quite a bit of other, well-known movies.
New and old, which is cool.
Right. So the stuff: Blood Rage, Creepshow 2, Terminator 2, Midnight Meat Train, Amsterdam. It goes on. The guy's had a successful career. So it's cool that this movie was really like a starting place for some people to have a nice career ahead of them. And again,
and everyone else seemed to still ride on the fame of this, which is fun. Like, a lot of the people in this do like horror conventions and stuff, and just seem like they really appreciate the time they had. They didn't go on to do big careers, but I always like when you get like a little B movie like this, and then horror movie community embraces it, and they embrace right back. And it's a cool vibe, even if the careers are not super prolific, let's say.
Absolutely. And I think that's like really what you're going to take away from this movie is this, like, it is the perfect like B horror campy cult film, like, for so many reasons. It's straight out of the 80s. Holy crap, is it reeking of 80s.
The shorts let you know what decade you're in for sure.
The belly shirts, the like, just like extra testosterone coming out of the guys. It's like the funny like things kids are doing to each other out of the 80s movies in terms of like the reckless play they have is just really funny and weird nostalgia to see. But then, you know, in terms of that like cult quality, some of the effects are pretty legit at times. Sometimes
effects, I think are, there's like on the stronger side. I would say overall, I think the effects are on the stronger side. But I agree, there's a couple that you're like, okay.
Yeah, but like really kind of sketchy storyline at times, but with like a kind of compelling like backstory that you kind of could buy into for motivations, and it's
like still confusing. This film I have seen so many times, and I think that lends itself to, like you said, that quality to it where not everything really adds up. There's certain delivery between characters of lines where you just don't know what anyone was thinking at the moment when they did it, but it's so unhinged in the best way possible that it becomes really endearing the more rewatches you have with it.
Yeah, I know. I've only seen it once, so I have to really do. I'm going to go back and rewatch this several times because there are like connections that you start to make at the end, and in retrospect, you're like, oh, well, that's maybe some of the motivation here or there, and
maybe it doesn't plot-wise make a lot of sense. Sure, maybe.
But I will say, this movie, I was ripping on it the entire time I was watching it, and then the last minute of the film was just so redeeming. It made the entire experience entirely worth it. So I say, go watch this film.
Yes, please.
You're gonna laugh your butt through it, but at the end, you're gonna walk away being like, "What the fuck did I just watch? That was awesome."
Yes, it's so good. It's just honestly, it's such a perfect movie in that you can watch it in a big group and all have a really good laugh and a really good time with it. You can watch it by yourself and still be laughing to yourself at certain times. And like you mentioned, the end is kind of a big turn for people where it really stands the test of time as being like one of the most iconic and unhinged and just bananas endings to any horror film ever. Yeah. So for that alone, you should be watching it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now, I mean, besides just the cultiness of it, it's like there's no like outstanding high quality production going on here. Editing is very standard, and you know, they had to like cut a lot of corners with it being like low budget B film in terms of like the effects and how they're piecing together the death scenes, you know, so there's a lot of like kind of poorly done match cutting and then like more like death reveals than seeing the deaths. And music was very bad, and cinematography and lighting was very subpar, you know.
There are moments though of brilliance. There are moments of brilliance, like the one death scene in particular that we can't get into great detail right here, but the way that that's silhouetted, I think is actually really well done. It really adds, like, there are a couple choices, and it's kind of rare glimpses, as you mentioned. It's not not through the whole film, but there are these moments where it's good.
Yeah. So, Taylor, overall ratings. I think it might actually be easier to start with the overall rating for the film instead of the scariness, maybe.
Yeah.
You want to start there?
You know, and I want to say this, I love this movie. I the more I watch it, the more I love it. I think it's great. Personally, just for my pure enjoyment, I'd probably rate it higher, but if we're being honest about what it brings to the table, how well it actually is as a film, it's not great. It just isn't. Yeah. The acting is not great. As you mentioned, the cinematography is not mind-blowing by any means. Music's not good. Just the storyline, too. Like, what is even happening? But because of my personal enjoyment, I'm absolutely just going to give it a solid 2 because I love it.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it was just down to personal enjoyment, it'd be super high rating because it is super fun to watch. But it is not a good movie, so I'm gonna give it a 2, a very solid 2. What would you do for a rating?
So you're landing exactly where I land. It's a 2 for me, and honestly, I would, if it wasn't for the ending and if it wasn't for the like sort of like wonderful cultish quality of this film, I would have given it a 1.
You're going to come around. I'm telling you, though, the next time even you watch this, you're going to love it even more. I promise you.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely see why that would be the case. Just in our like early discussions, I started like realizing, wow, this movie actually is like kind of really fun. So scariness, how many monsters are under the bed? Scary is it out of 4?
Tough call, because some of the death scenes and some of the attacks are actually pretty horrifying. Like there's 2 in particular for me that, oh my God, and the ending, oh my God.
Yeah.
So there's a huge unsettling feeling at the end of that film, and I give them a lot of credit for being so ridiculous up until that point and to still leave the viewer feeling like just, again, questioning your life choices, your sanity, what you just watched. But it's just one of those, again, I think the thing for me is, am I thinking a lot about it after? And the problem I'm at is I've seen this so many times that even the end to me, now I know it so well. It still gives you an unnerving feeling, but it certainly can't be as impactful as the first time. Like it can't be. So I'm actually more curious what your feeling on it is. I want to be kind and give it a 2, but my heart says it's probably a 1. But I feel like there's just this pull that because of that one scene, that one death scene, truly to me is one of the most horrifying things I literally cannot fathom. I'm actually like kind of cringing and getting like smaller as I talk about it. So, you know, I'm going to be kind today. Maybe I'm post-holidays. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm throwing it out. I'm being overly kind, but I'm going to give it the 2. What are you going to go for?
All right. I'm going to give this movie 2 ratings because
okay.
It'll come together in the end. Bear with me.
All right. I'm with you.
The majority of the film gets a 1 star for scariness. Fair. There's some effects that are a little gory, a little dramatic, but it's like edited in a way that's just so like there's no suspense. It's kind of over the top, like trying to be in like gratuitous in nature, but it kind of just becomes like overly dramatic. So it's kind of funny. So the majority of the movie, I give a 1 star in terms of scariness. Fun, campy, not scary. The final minute of the movie, the last scene, I would rate it a 3 for the scary level.
Yes,
so
I love it.
Just for that fact, my overall Monsters Under the Bed rating is going to be a 2. And it's really that last scene. Like I was watching this at night, alone in the dark. You know, I had all the lights off, and I was just sitting there, kind of like, oh, I don't want to get up and turn the light on. You know, it was just like, what did I just see? Like you said, questioning all my life choices. Like, why did I expose myself to this? But it was just a great experience. Go watch this movie. And outside of that, stick around for our deep dive review because it's so fun to rip this one apart.
Oh, guys, we're going to have a good time. Please do yourself the favor and get on the train. Watch it beforehand. Otherwise, this spoiler is just going to blow everything. So please go watch it first.
Welcome to the podcast Under Your Bed. There'll be drinks, critique, and perhaps a few murders. You're all invited, but once the podcast has begun, there's no way out. The ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me for the podcast Under Your Bed?
Like, it's just...
I can't even do it. It's like... I don't even know what it is.
That was really good. I liked that.
It's more like hissy, though. It's like...
Oh my God, it was like in the back of my throat trying to do that.
I think
there you go. Actually, just do that whole section. Just put that in.
All right. We're just going to roll from here, Taylor. I think you're right. We just go with that.
Okay, let's keep it in.
All right. So you all are probably really fucking confused if you haven't watched the movie, but welcome to the last 30 seconds. I'm still confused. I think we're just going to leave it at that. Now,
let's leave it at that.
To help wash away the images I've seen and to cool off in that hot summer camp, we got a drink for you today. Taylor, what are we sipping on?
And also, the title and why I chose this is going to make so much more sense by the end of the spoiler section, of the summary section. But I did pick a twist on the Sex on the Beach. And again, this all makes sense if you've seen it. So these are Sex on the Beach slushies from Fit Foodie Finds. That's a lot of F's there. It's really nice though, actually. So this is just your basic Sex on the Beach. So you've got your peach schnapps, got some cranberry in there, vodka, but then you've got the frozen peaches and ice to give it, or no, orange juice, sorry, to give it all that slushy vibe. I think this is really nice. It's not tasting overly sweet to me, which is always a concern I have, especially when we get to these frozen drinks. And this is a perfect summer drink, I feel like. I mean, it's really light, refreshing, and it's really delicious.
It is working for me. Here in Texas, we had like the hottest week to date in like Texas's history. We're in for a moment, we're at the top 1% for the heat index across the world, which blew me away. It has been brutal, and we are very grateful for nice chilled refreshments such as this.
Honestly, I'm going to say this is probably in the top of the drinks we've ever covered. It just tastes good. And again, it's not giving you that gut rot feel that some of the other ones we've covered have. But I feel you, it was an exceptionally hot, well, not Texas level hot, but Michigan was also very hot this week. So sitting in a cold basement, drinking a cold drink, and about to unpack the most unhinged film ever. I'm in a very good spot right now.
I like it. Well, unfortunately, today's my turn for the
your
spoiler
turn.
summary review. And again, remind everybody, it's all spoilers from here on out. Go watch the movie if you haven't.
Deep spoilers.
And then come back. So in this movie, we open on a family, John, Angela, and Peter, relaxing on a sailboat until it flips over into the water. The group are suddenly descended upon by a reckless teen driver, and only Angela makes it out of the water.
There's people on the water! Later. That was my favorite. Just screaming.
It's so bad.
It was so awful.
And all right, we'll get to it. The match cuts, it looked like she was in a swimming pool or something. Anyways,
I know.
8 years later, Angela is living with her cousin Ricky and his eccentric mother Martha, and with the two kids heading to Camp Arawak for the summer. If I'm saying that, Arawak,
Camp Arawak.
Angela spends the next few days not speaking or eating, causing her bunkmates Judy and Meg to bully her. Angela's then almost sexually assaulted by Artie, the head chef, before Ricky intervenes. Yeah, super pedo vibes. Later, while cooking, Artie is attacked by an unseen assailant, causing scalding hot water to burn and injure him severely. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Ricky once again comes to Angela's aid when she's bullied by campers Mike and Kenny. Afterward, Ricky's friend Paul strikes up a conversation with Angela and gets her to speak, much to the chagrin of Meg. Later that evening, our mystery killer returns and drowns Kenny. Just like Artie the chef, this death is deemed an accident when his body is discovered the next day. Paul and Angela go on a date, and he kisses her goodnight, something that appears to bother her. While going to visit Ricky, Angela is pelted with a water balloon by a camper named Billy. While taking a wicked dump, Billy is locked in the stall by the killer, and a beehive is dropped in, causing him to be stung to death. one of the best kills.
Yeah.
The latest death causes camp owner Mel to conclude that Ricky must be the killer. That night, Paul kisses Angela again, and we get a flashback to Angela and her brother seeing their father having an intimate relationship with a man. I mean, come on, guys.
Oh, shocking! Oh my gosh, the most shocking part of the film. Jeez. This was the 80s. Like, come on, guys. Jeez.
After Angela rebuffs Paul's physical advances, Judy moves in for the kill. While playing Capture the Flag, Angela and Ricky catch Paul and Judy making out. Paul attempts to apologize, and shortly after, Judy amps her torment by having Meg throw Angela into the water. Class act. Later, Meg makes a date with Mel. Real big note. And and heads to a secluded bathroom to get ready. Meg is then stabbed to death by the killer. After Paul apologizes again, Angela makes a plan to meet up after the social. Mel goes to search for Meg and finds her body, which just reaffirms that Ricky is the killer in Mel's mind.
Yeah.
While curling her hair, Judy is also killed. And
I can't. We can't. We have to dissect it. We can't. I can't. Can you even? I can't even. I can't.
How do you
phrase
the worst
that?
ways to go, she's killed. She's just killed. We'll leave it there. Afterward, the bodies of several children who threw sand at Angela earlier in the day are discovered, hacked to death by a hatchet.
Just
Mel
lame, but
attacks Ricky, you son of a bitch, but is killed shortly after when the killer shoots an arrow right through his fucking neck. Paul and Angela meet while the police search for campers, at which time they find Ricky alive, though unconscious.
Ronnie he almost beat him to death, actually. That is horrifying. An adult male.
The little fucker had it coming.
No!
Ronnie and Susie, two counselors, find a naked Angela cradling Paul's severed head.
And here we go, guys.
We then get the full backstory that Angela actually died in the original accident, the boating accident, and Peter was forced to take her place as Angela since Martha, the mother, wanted a little girl.
Sure.
We then end in the iconic moment with a freeze frame of Angela making these guttural, feral noises, covered head to toe in blood, and full frontal underage male nudity.
Boom! Yeah, and that is that. That's that.
A boy. Da da da.
It is shocking.
Yeah,
it's really like who saw
so
that one coming?
Stupid. On paper, like reading it sounds really dumb, but it was fantastic. It was brilliant.
It was so good.
I don't know if there's any other place to start than the end because I agree. It is the iconic moment of the film and it really makes the entire film worth it. Can you recall the first time you saw this? Like what went through your head?
Well, okay, so first off, it is a bit confusing when you get the like exposition dump through different parts of like the dad having a relationship with the other man, and you're just kind of wondering why are these random scenes in here? Like what is going on?
Yeah.
And then when you get the flashback to Peter at Martha's and she's like, you'll be called Angela or whatever in that really unhinged acting voice. I just remember sitting there very shocked and confused. But the real selling point or the crazy point is the scene where just standing there with the freaky frozen face, which we'll explain why that is in a minute. I think my mind just went blank, to be honest. I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what was going on. My brain was trying to piece together what had just happened. It's just such an abrupt moment from Martha being like, you're going to be Angela, to that shot. It's like a boom, boom So it
Yeah.
doesn't give you a lot of time to process what you just learned.
Yeah, that's a really good point. As a viewer, it happened so quickly that it took me like rewatching the end to like piece it together that wait a fucking second, that's the boy, not the sister, and he was forced to be the girl, and it's so fast. You just like it's convoluted and confusing. But I do know how I felt in the moment, which was traumatized. I really was.
It does feel like that. And Paul is your like protagonist of sorts. I think actually rewatching it, I felt like he was a lot more aggressive and kind of creepy than I remembered originally. But I swear the first time I watched it, in my head I was thinking, oh, Paul and Angela, how cute. Like, he is trying to bring her out of her shell, and that's adorable, blah, 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 blah. So to also have his severed head on her lap is kind of shocking as well.
Right. I mean, the head was great. It was one of the better, like, effects moments, like, just rolling to the dirt. They don't show it very long, but then...
It must have been his real face for a minute, and then something. I don't know.
And it's like a full Carrie moment covered in blood. And the really disturbing piece of it, honestly, is the acting. Just the hissing whatever sound,
guttural, feral noises. Yeah, and I think I clued you in on it as we were like discussing this before we started filming, but it's a mask because clearly you have an underage girl. They're definitely not gonna. The mom. Very understandably and good parenting said there's no effing way my kid's getting involved with any of this scene. Like, not gonna happen. Yeah. And so it's obviously it's an adult male, probably young adult male who does the body double, and they put a mask over, and that it's just this weird frozen, wide eyes, big open mouth, and it adds to how creepy it feels. Like, it feels so really off-putting.
Yeah, and there was like a hair of like confusion in the back of my head that was kind of unsettling, because I was like, how did they do that? Was it like, did they somehow digitally insert her face? Because there was like this weird quality to it that didn't look natural, and it's
very unnatural.
It actually aided to like how disturbing the moment was. So
100% agree.
Stroke of good luck, I suppose. But honestly, the scene's fucking disturbing no matter what. It's just a great way to go out, like freeze frame, credits roll. You don't need any other crap. Like,
no, and I also think you're so distracted by what's going on that I think you aren't looking super closely at the lines of the face, or you're just so thrown off by that reveal and by how bizarre the acting is and stuff that you can completely ignore anything that maybe doesn't look human. Like you said, it just kind of ends up adding to it by, you said, like a stroke of good luck. But I think that reveal itself is just unhinged.
All right. So we love the last scene. Everybody loves the last scene.
Oh, yeah. And well, there's some rightful criticism of it.
All right. Hit me.
All right, we might as well, because we're right here, we might as well do it. So understandably, a lot of people have said it feels like transphobic, which I feel like is valid, and I don't think we're like the experts by any means to be dissecting that. I think that's its own lore or its own discussion point. But somebody who is more of an expert on this situation rightfully, in my mind, pointed out that this kid never desired to be a female, literally forced into the situation, and therefore this is not a trans person in actuality. This is somebody being forced to dress up and pose as a female. So I think that's an important distinction. And again, that's kind of its own talking point. But I do understand the criticism, and I do feel like it's valid and worth just pointing out that it does exist and where people might have some issue with the film.
Right. Well, to be honest, like the whole time, even well before the end scene, I was like, man, there's some serious like homophobia going on. And I couldn't tell if it's like a critique of the times, like of society at the time, or if it was literally the director's like just desire to just slam gay people.
I don't know. It's confusing.
It really is. The whole film is like, there's so much of that like toxic masculinity that is just comes out in the 80s in all of cinema. It's like,
100%.
There's so much of it of just like, homophobia and all of the like, kids like bashing each other, calling each other gay and like, you want to kiss a boy and stuff like that. That I was like, man, this is like hyper aggressive. But with the ending of the film, I could see how maybe it was like sort of this, it was like intentional to build that for some effect in the end. And again, I think it's like all pieces of this film, anything good that came out of it almost like was happenstance, like luck. It was just like, it was like trying so hard and it just missed the beat on so many levels that's probably just one more layer that just didn't quite work the way they were hoping it to. I don't know. That's my benefit of the doubt note.
That one is, to be honest, so that piece of the puzzle to me, I still feel very confused and unclear about, because on the one hand, you have this gay couple who seemingly have like a nice, loving relationship that are like co-parenting, it seems. So to me, that's kind of a positive. But then you get this weird jump cut scene where the kids see him in bed and they're giggling, and it's confusing because are they just giggling because it's two adults in an intimate moment? Or are they giggling because it's two men? Like, that has no context, that scene. Right. It is incredibly confusing. So I don't know what tone they were trying to go with or what the message was with that. And to be fair, every like super toxic man gets a comeuppings in some kind of capacity in this. So it's also confusing because are they pointing out how gross it is? Like you said, is it just a product of its time? And that's just kind of how people thought people talked. Like, I would hope that it isn't that gross in real life, but
are there
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like there's any like redeemable characters that could have been off that weren't, right? So like, to your point, like all the characters seem to freaking die that were like,
there's a shitty counselor or little dickhead kid that actually doesn't get killed. And I was like so positive this guy was going to get killed.
Suggesting that that's the like one kid that didn't make a like trans or homophobic statement or like
no, but he did try to hit on Angela, so yeah, I don't know if my theory holds water now that I say that, because he was trying to like creep on her. I don't know. But this is what I mean. I genuinely do not have an answer for this, and I'm still confused, and especially those scenes with the two guys. I don't know, and honestly, I feel bad. I can't even remember which one is the actual parent and which one is the boyfriend, but whatever, I've seen it, and every time those scenes come up, I'm still confused. I don't know what the point of any of those scenes are.
Yeah, I struggled to understand all of the flashbacks. I was like, what the fuck
aside from the one, which actually added context. That was the only one at the end that made any semblance of sense.
Right. So, we'll leave that for the director to know, and it'll be a secret forever now, I guess. But so I think I love that final death, and maybe the like best, most redeeming part of this film were the other deaths throughout the movie. It might be the only thing that like kept me watching.
I have more positives than that, but that's
all
fair.
Right.
I think you're gonna, like I said, I think this is one that ages more like a fine wine kind of situation than where you see it. You pick up on the fun, like the banter between the kids is actually really fun and feels like very age appropriate, like the over swearing, the being shitty with each other.
Age appropriate for the 80s.
Yeah, okay, rephrase, because I don't think most parents would do that. But come on, we all had that period where you were like 13 to 15 and you were swearing like a sailor. And, like we were all dickheads at one point. That it's just a fact. But I think the kids play it up really well. I think the interactions feel very natural. It feels like unlike a lot of movies, feels like a real camp that if you went to and you saw these kids running around operating, you wouldn't really question it, where some things can feel really artificial or they age up the kids' dialogue.
I would not send my kids to camp run by a Jersey mobster. Am I right about that? Right?
Who wants to date a 15-year-old? Yeah, it's all problematic.
Who is this guy? He's got a stogie in his mouth at all times. Oh, it was an accident. Bury him in the back. I'm like, what? It's like, who is this guy?
I got a guy for this. I got a guy I can call.
For real. He's like greasing up the chefs, like, no, don't worry about it. Here's an extra $20. You know?
It's just so stupid. It's so good though.
I kept wondering, like, where is this film supposed to be set? Like, you have this like Jersey like camp counselor guy, and then you have like some of these like kind of almost like preppy acting kids, but like dressed more like kind of like just middle class whatever shits, and then and then you're like in the middle of these woods on a lake. But then also you have these like entirely black like kitchen, I was like, is this like the South or is this Jersey or is this like, I was so confused.
Yeah, I can't answer that one. I don't think there's a great answer for that. But on the positives, like I think the deaths are positive to me. I think the interactions with the kids are positive to me and feel pretty natural. I think you've got some endearing characters for sure, even if the acting's not 100% all the time.
Sure.
They're all fun. They are all eating every line they have, and I really enjoy that in a big way.
Yeah.
I mean, Judy is such a ridiculous bitch, but I love it. It's so much fun to watch. It's so stupid at times that it's so entertaining. And again, there's something really endearing about that for me, it just is one of those things that just gets better, like I said, every time I watch it, because it's, you pick up on small things. Again,
that's
stupid,
one that might be
choices
hard
sometimes.
For me. I don't know if I'll ever come around to enjoying her character. I thought the acting was so bad. I wrote down
it's terrible. It's great.
The worst actor in the movie.
I love it. Judy is iconic. She is iconic though. To wearing her Judy shirt, which is just such a power play there. Oh my gosh. And then obviously I think we're heading this way anyways. Her death to me though is
oof.
It's so good because so little is shown, but it is impactful as fuck. It is horrifying.
All right. Because they don't show much, you're like,
you can't show it.
Hot iron,
you
curling iron
cannot
actually go where I thought it went? Or was it like to the face or something? Like
no, because you see the arms
to the
reach out.
Yeah, but it's just like poorly filmed. So I was unsure. I think
it's set up. She's put on the bed, legs are pulled open. The way she jumps up while the silhouette is going down, I think it makes it to me pretty blatantly obvious. But I guess if you only saw it one time, you might be questioning. But it's set up.
Maybe
trust me.
Just couldn't fathom in the moment that's actually what was happening. Like that is, that could potentially be in like top 10 deaths of any movie, if you think about like the actual way of going out. Like that's brutal.
Oh, it's almost like you feel bad for her and you shouldn't because she's the worst ever. But that moment is so horrifying to just, I can't even, I don't get squeamish, which is just crazy then that this scene that has like no blood or anything makes my legs like close up and just horrified.
Yeah. Now that being said, like a lot of the death scenes were filmed in that sort of like match cut style. I assume because of limited budget, because they couldn't like afford the amazing effects they wanted. So you get a lot of these like moments, like I think of maybe like one of the worst moments was the knife in the shower scene where it's like the knife cutting through this like cardboard wall or something.
The noise she makes is so stupid.
It's just like these
It's like
kind of poorly edited together, poorly filmed match cuts of like action happening, reaction over here, and Judy's death was one of those where it felt a little hokey, like with the shadows, like.
I'm going to disagree. I liked that, but fair enough.
All right. Again, I think it's like the idea was there, the concept was there, but the execution was wanting, and which was like a lot of this movie, right? And again, like we briefly touched on it, but one of the worst times this happened was the opening death scene of the boating accident. It's like, first of all, the acting's so bad. It's so 80s with the short shorts, the hairy cast.
What do you mean? The acting's incredible.
And then the boat,
so
the two kids in the boat, like bickering back and forth. I want to drive. Let me. It's like so shitty. But the match,
people in the water. That girl is my favorite. She is everything to me. That was so stupid. It was amazing. The entire exchange between the three people involved in that one boat.
Right.
So dumb, so perfect. I would change nothing.
All right. I mean, that's fair. That opening scene really set your expectations for the rest of the movie. You're like, okay, I'm in for like
real low
80s B horror film that's gonna be campy and cheesy, and it's like the shot of the like bloody life vest just kind of floating by. Like, it's so bad. It's like,
it's so stupid.
It's great. Good job, guys. You nailed it. Fucking hell. So I just don't know what to make of this movie. Help me out, Taylor. Help me out.
This is my point. This is exactly my point. How much fun, though, did you have watching it?
Yeah.
And just watching it and thinking, this is so stupid. Why is this dialogue exist? Why is the acting so bad? But you had a good time the whole time. This is the thing that I think is important to remember, especially about like cult films in general, but specifically this one. Even when it's bad, it's so stupid and entertaining. Martha is my key example of what the fuck with this movie. I mean,
right. Yeah.
The choices that were made.
This is the mom. I couldn't understand either. Like, I wrote a note. Why is she yelling in every scene? She talks so loud and she's so intense. I can't fucking understand why she's doing that. Like what the
and also
fuck?
really flighty in the eyes, and just this really unhinged, like, I'm gonna look off into the corner and deliver this weird line to you and slowly move my head back over. It's so weird. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, all right, you love it. I was confused.
It is confusing. It's so confusing. She has the tie around her finger, and it's like, I can't forget that, with the big wide eyes. And who makes those choices? And also, who as a director is sitting there going, this works. I think we'll go with this.
All right, I'll tell you who. I've been on these sets. It's really, really bad directors that are like a little socially disengaged, like enough to like think that this is actually okay on film. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to like be a total dick, but I've seen it. That's what it is.
Oh no, I love it.
All right. I will say what also got me through the movie were the 80s-ness of the whole film. Like the short shorts, the hairy chest, the mullet haircuts, the like,
even the preppy polos, it's all like spot on.
It was hysterical and so over the top. Like you almost feel like I don't know. You almost feel like they exaggerated the era, like on purpose or something. Like it's like it was so outrageous. I could not stop laughing at every character. So I want to know which character did you feel was the most 80s, then was like your favorite from like the 80s-ness of how dumb they were?
Oh, man. Honestly, it's a tough one. I think, look, Ronnie's going to take a little piece of my heart every time because he literally could not have picked any shorter to wear. And it is in every single scene. And he's delivering these like really serious lines with just this giant bulge in shorts. And you're just like, how would anybody be sitting there and not just like,
and the like tight muscle shirts and like
it's so much. They're talking about like dead kids and this guy is in the shortest shorts humanly possible. How can anyone even react appropriately given what you're looking at? It is so, the tone is so wrong on every level. It's just kind of perfect. So for me, he's just... And he's actually a nice counselor. He's actually one of the only caring and nice counselors. So he gets like a little extra brownie point too, because he is one of the only people not perving on children in this. Congratulations, Ronnie. You get all the stars this week.
Oh my God. That's the pedo vibes are just so like, there's so much like inappropriate behavior in terms of like adults being in bathrooms and like constant, like, I don't know. It just, everything felt awkward from a modern audience's perspective.
It's okay, but it's horrifying because clearly you watch the beginning and you see the creepy chef Artie, and he's making these horrifying comments, which seems to bother no one else, which is just shocking to me that no other adult went, ooh, there's a red flag. I don't know if this guy should be working with children. But okay, we'll let it go because he gets his big comeuppance and he gets severely, horrifically disfigured. And great, that's good karma, I believe. So we think at this point we're past all the adult creepiness, right? Like everything's fine. Then Mel, out of left field, a guy who I assume has been married to a woman named Dot for 50 years, apparently not though, is trying to get a date with Meg, the camp counselor. What is happening? She's 100% under 18, no question.
It's not good. It is not good.
No, and she's into it. Actually, that's the more confusing part. I'm like, do you have some serious daddy issues? What's going on that you're taking a date with this old man? And here's the thing. He's not even like a rich old man. He owns a summer camp, girl. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, thank you. That's perfect. Like
it's okay at any point, but you know what I'm saying? At least you could justify it somewhere. Like she's dumb and young and he's hot and rich, but he's not. He's old and creepy. What is going on?
Yeah, hardcore. And that again, I think is like part of the like the 80s-ness of it, like inappropriate relationships seeming to be like normalized.
All fine.
Yeah, but I agree. I loved the chef's death.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I want to have the conversation of
deep scarring, confusing. Maybe he died later. Yeah. We don't really know.
Okay, well, to put it in the words of the film, one of them was like, "What's his prognosis?" Right? Mel asked, "What's his prognosis?" And the doctor's like, "Well, he's badly burned all over."
Medicine.
Holy shit.
That's it. He's badly, in my professional opinion, he's badly burnt all over.
This shit's fucked up. But that was awesome that he had it coming and got it. But one of the better effects moments, that was when I was like, oh, now I see why this film has some cult quality to it.
Oh, 100, yeah.
And it made me want to stick around to see other deaths. What were some of the effects that were working for you? And what did you like?
That one definitely was on the top of my list because not only is a skin look horrifying, and it was some like gelatin type thing they used to make it look like wet and really nasty because it looked nasty. But then they also did something where they were like, I believe they're like pumping air up underneath. So you get these kind of like pulsating like parts of the skin, and it just gives you this awful illusion that this man is in pain, which again, very deserved. So feels like fine. But I think that one worked really well for me. Megs, as you noted, I think the issue is not necessarily the knife hitting the back. I think that actually that prosthetic is fine. The issue is that what is that wall made of that you'd be able to just
take a knife.
Take a knife through it. What is it, like tinfoil? What's happening? So that was where it lost the effect to me, and the bad acting really also just killed whatever they were going for there. That one was pretty rough. I didn't think the B one was too bad. It's, again, one of those things that you're not seeing a lot, but the idea is pretty horrifying. And that one was like okay to me. I thought that one was okay.
I got to tee it up there. Time out on that.
Yeah.
I call it the pooping bee scene. First of all, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see how this goes down. He pulls his pants down. I was like, we're going to get a death on the toilet. This is going to be fun. But
a la Jurassic Park.
This like little beehive, like the size of a baseball, comes in, and you see like 2 bees fly out of it, and then you hear some screaming, and you cut to like 1,000 bees on the guy's face.
Yeah,
and he's like brutalized. So it was just so, the juxtaposition of the 2 shots, just like I couldn't wrap my head around it, and just
the end shot was good though. The end shot was good, but you're entirely right.
It looked awesome, but it just did not add up.
I was
like, this guy died of 5 bee stings? What's going on? And then you're like, oh well, there's like
Thomas J over there.
Yeah, I couldn't like put it together, but the effects in the actual death reveal, I thought were really nice. I thought they looked
You're
really
100% right, though, that there's like a buildup of excitement. Then you start to really lose any interest because it looks like it's going to be really piss poor. And it kind of is until you get the reveal shot. But at least they presented it well at the end. So I'll give them a little gold star for that. But
there you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there were any other big effects to me that really. The neck wasn't bad. It was pretty obvious. But it wasn't like a bad effect. It wasn't something
the arrow
stuck my nose up at. Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
That one was just a little confusing. I would like to look into like how they did it, because it seemed more like almost like a jump cut or something, where like they just like freeze frame, stick this fake arrow there, and then roll.
I swear I used to know how this worked.
Yeah, but anyways, it just it kind of looked like well done on camera. Like it was pretty smooth. Yeah. But I think
there was like a magnet situation, but I feel like you could see the discoloration, which is something that also we talked about with Friday the 13th with Kevin Bacon's death, where the arrow effect itself looked really good. Actually, that was obviously much better. That was way better. Right. But you can clearly notice, though, there's like a different color to where the prosthetic is. So that's kind of a bummer. And I don't know if that is just with time that now we have digital copies of things and it's more noticeable, or if it just was not well done at the time. I'm really not sure.
Yeah. I mean, that was not one of the deaths that like stood out to me. And of course, one of the disappointments is a lot of the deaths in this movie are reveals. You don't actually see them. So
yes, totally.
I guess I'd still want to hear, though, overall, death on screen or reveal, besides the end scene, which we all agree is the best, right? Maybe not. I'm with. I think that's one of the better ones for sure. What is your favorite death on screen?
It's gonna be Judy, 100%, and again, for the reasons I said, that it has the least amount of gore, yet stuck with me more than any other scene that happened, because I don't know if it's a female thing. I mean, anything involving forcible anything is horrifying enough, and then you add a hot curling iron to it, and you just amped it up like just like gag thinking about it. It's horrifying. So that one for me, it was the most memorable, not necessarily the most gory or best effects, but definitely the most memorable. What was your either most memorable or best effects, or the combination of the two?
Outside of the end scene, that was probably the most disturbing, the Judy death.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite, just because of how funny it is, was the bee one. Because I was like, this guy is dying from 2-3 bees. Like,
yes,
I was laughing so hard. It was one of my favorites. Like, just the fact that that's like, the thought goes through not Angela's head to, stick a beehive through the window while he's taking his shit. That's brilliant. That is how I would choose to murder somebody.
I respect it. You know what? You're right. I respect the ingenuity of that young child to come up with so many different variety of ways to get rid of people. So you're right too. There's a variety in there.
This is a creative killer. I would love to find a movie that has more unique deaths in it, like, or from one killer, mind you. You know, there's like, there's like Final Destination and stuff where they all die in these very elaborate, strange ways. But it's not. Well, yeah, I guess you could argue like, is it a killer? But like, this has one like person killing people in all of these radically different ways. So
no, you're right. You're right, because if you think Michael Myers, it's all knife kills. If you think Ghostface, aside from the newest one, it's primarily knife kills. Yeah. You know, I'd say most killers stick to a basic weapon of choice, and that's how they go about things. And sometimes it gets a little stale. So I do appreciate the ingenuity here.
There you go. You can just. That's all you need for a good killer, I guess.
And to have an insane reveal at the end that the killer is an entirely different gender, but hey.
Yeah, all right. I don't know what else is even necessary to discuss. It's just
I think the only other thing that I feel like is definitely worth mentioning is I think the kids are actually all really great in this in their own way. Whether they're delivering super stereotype performances, or like Ricky again is a really endearing character to me. I think Angela, despite not talking for 90% of the film, is also somebody that you for some reason end up enjoying when she's on screen. I just think the kids all seem to have a really good time doing what they were doing. And again, it's not even that I think these are the best performances per se. It just seemed like everybody fully embraced whatever character they were given, and they ate up every line they had. Yeah. It seemed like they were having a really good time. Yeah. So I feel that when I watch it. I really do. And I think that's one of the pieces that makes it enjoyable to watch. I think if the kids were just totally wooden or it was too stereotypical, it wouldn't be as enjoyable to watch. But I feel like they all bring something to the table that makes you want to come back and pay attention to those lines again, or the weird delivery of X, Y, and Z. Like, it's fun. Like you said, it's just a fun time.
All right, I'll give that all to you. I think again, you know, the movie largely did not have good production value, but there's just...
This is like one of the only times we've not talked about that, by the way. I just realized one of the
there's
only
nothing
times
to talk about. It's like we talked about a little of the editing and how bad the music was, but, you know, it is just kind of that campy cult quality that makes for a good cult film. So kind of works.
This is my wrap up thoughts. All I'll say is, again, I genuinely feel like CJ and I bring this film up again next year, and he's watched it once or twice since then, or at least one time since then. I guarantee he's gonna like it more. This is the magic of Sleepaway Camp. It's so stupid and badly done and all the things the first time you watch it. Then you get to the end, you're kind of hooked, so you come back to it. Then you really start to enjoy, again, the nuances that it's still very superficial, actually, and it's still very stupid. But man, you just enjoy it more and more each time. It's a dumb, fun fucking movie, and I love it for just being that, and it doesn't need to be better than that. It's so enjoyable regardless. So for me, it's a total win. I genuinely, obviously I've been just singing its praises the whole time. And that is not something I felt the first time I watched this. So I want to make that like very clear. This was not my go-to film. Now this is definitely in my summer rotation.
All right, beautiful. Last question for you, Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched Sleepaway Camp 2, or was there a third I want to say? And how do they stack up? Do I need to go watch this or just stick with the original?
So it's a little it's a little weird. So Sleepaway Camp, I believe, if I have this right now, there's like 4 or 5 in total. If I could be misremembering this. They did a sequel with, I swear it's like Bruce Springsteen's daughter, which is really random, playing Angela. And I swear that she did it twice, if I'm remembering correctly. She did it twice. Then I think, or maybe I'm combining two movies, I can't remember. Then there's this like awful one where the protagonist kid is just a dumpster fire and it's hard to watch. No. And then they made a new one recently that kind of brought all the old people back. That one I haven't seen. I did see the sequel. There are some memorable kills for sure in that one. So, like, I won't spoil too much, but I will say somebody gets murdered via, what do you call it? Outhouse. So, come on, that's pretty
you already
fun.
Know, I love the poop death, the poop bee death. Like, let's bring
more poop deaths.
All right.
More poop deaths on this channel. So, I will say, this is the best out of the bunch. There's not even a question at all whether this is where this lands. This is definitely the top of it. It is as good as it's going to get. I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, the second one might be worth a watch in a big group where you guys can have a good time, but I would not recommend it as like I'm going to sit down and really watch this movie because it's not that good. But good, again, poop death. So if that works for you, I say go for it.
If that's your jam. All right. Well, y'all, thanks for tuning in again for this episode of Sleepaway Camp from 1983. Man, I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as we did because it really was worth watching.
And a fun time to talk about, even though I'm clearly coming off as super biased on this episode. Maybe it's because I got my Judy ponytail and my Camp Airwax shirt, but I am a firm believer in Sleepaway Camp, and I hope you are too.
Stick around for more podcasts under your bed.
Bye, guys. See you next time.